Hello, everyone, and welcome to VGMC. My name is Azurk, and I will be your host for this primer today on just what the bleep is video game music contest. There are quite a number of other resources available for this, including NFUN's text guide, but for those of you who prefer this in an audio format, I'm going to be telling you all about Board 8's video game music contest, beginning with literally what it is, and then we'll talk about how you can participate in it, what the contest looks like when it's actually running, and finally, and most importantly for right now, how nominations work. So to begin with, Video Game Music Contest is born out of GameFAQs Board 8, aka the Contest Discussion Board. GameFAQs, starting as early as 2002, back in the day when GameFAQs was actually a relevant website, would run periodic contests to decide things like who is the best video game character, what's the best game of all time. And in order to create a forum for people to discuss that, they created Board 8. Board 8 is simply the number of the board. It's officially the contest discussion board, but we all refer to it as Board 8. And the people who congregated there to talk about the contest gradually started running little side contests of their own. And one of those, starting in 2007, was VGMC. Uh, During that particular year, nominations went out. People picked their 192 favorite songs. We'll be doing 256 this year. 192 is kind of a weird number. Um, but we went with 256 songs for this coming year. And what's going to happen is we're going to slot them all into a bracket, March Madness style, except the matches are not going to be decided by playing a basketball game. They're going to be decided by people voting on them. You can see on screen the results of last year's contest. This is only the top 64, but this should give you an idea of kind of what you have to expect. Now, we definitely need more people, new people. We always want a breath of fresh air, and that is why we want you. Um, the board is tied to GameFAQs, and GameFAQs has gradually been dying over the years to the point that around Contest 8, Contest 9, the number of people participating was downright dreadful. Uh, Starting in year 10, we started to get an influx of new people, and we started actually advertising to bring in people beyond that once we discovered the wonders of Discord. And so as a result, we've gradually gotten a steady trickle of new folks coming in. We anticipate that this year will be the biggest bump in participation yet. This is going to be year number 15. We've been doing this for 14 years now, since 2007. And all the resources that you want to know about, like who's won before and everything else, we have that available. That's not going to be in this video, but I can certainly put that in the links below. Um, so yeah, the site was kind of dying until we brought new people in. And the same thing that was true was also that the music that was getting in was the same stuff year after year, and it was getting kind of samey. Like people kind of gelled on what they thought. The people who weren't really in that hive mind kind of went the way of the dodo, which just kind of created this echo chamber effect. Um, when we got to year 10, we started bringing in new people, and that all changed and got much more dynamic and much more exciting. And we started discovering new music. It became fantastic and wonderful. Not that it wasn't to begin with, but I think it really took it off a life of its own, starting from about year 11. Um, Incidentally, I was the contest host for years 10 to 14. I take no responsibility for that whatsoever. I bring this up mostly to tell you that I decided to step down after last year and give somebody else a chance to run the contest. So your two hosts for this coming year will be a couple gentlemen by the name of Diogenerate, aka Banshiryu, and Microprocessor, aka Toxtricity, aka Chimeratio, aka a couple other things. If you see a Pokemon in some random combination of numbers with a slash between them, time, that's probably him. Um, so we are part of a greater community, and we would love for you to join us. So let's talk about how you can participate in VGMC. There are basically three main ways to participate. One is to help nominate the songs that make it into the bracket. And we'll talk extensively about how that works and what you can do to participate in that. Then, once the contest begins, we decide these matches by popular vote. So obviously, we need people to vote in the matches. If you can listen to the songs and then pick the one that you like better, that's all we need from that. You can write more. You can, give a little write up if you want to. You can talk in discussion with other people in the thread if you like, but that's not needed. We just need votes at that point. And finally, there are plenty of places to discuss the results, to talk about VGM in general, whether you're going to do it on Board 8's forum, the old ancient art antiquated forum that we have, and perhaps in the actual thread for the matches or in a consolidated discussion thread, or just hop on over to our Discord. And there will be lots of people discussing all kinds of things, and we would love to have you join us. Or you can discuss it on your own Discords from Super Darky's Discord or from Siva or Singa or wherever else you might be coming from. But we would love to have you. And I want to emphasize that you do not have to do all of these things. You do not have to nominate and vote in the brackets and discuss on Discord ad infinitum. This is a very long contest. From start to finish, it's going to be a number of months. So I'm not expecting that you're going to do all of those things and do them all consistently. We will take you for whatever you would like to contribute to us. But let's talk about how the contest actually functions now, the bracket phase. So once nominations close, Micro and Dio will, behind closed doors, do some sort of black magic where they will conjure up the locations of all 256 songs in the bracket. While they are doing that, everyone else is required to be chanting at them constantly, "Where is bracket? We want bracket. Bracket when?" If you don't do that's the one thing that is absolutely required of you. You have to chant at the hosts demanding to know where the bracket is. But once they finally reveal the bracket, then there will be a brief period where you will have the opportunity to make predictions. Now, we post our brackets, among other places, on an ancient website called Bracket Maker, and it is falling apart and does not function very well. But the one thing it does very nicely is it lets us stage these predictions, and they're really just for fun. Most people don't do actual predictions, they do favorites brackets. But it is one of the things that we as a community like to do prior to the start of the contest. Then the matches begin. And Dio or Micro will put up a topic on the board each day. The matches will remain open for 24 hours. You'll know exactly what's coming up because they go right through the bracket. They would do the first match in the upper corner, and then the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. They usually do two at a time. Maybe they'll even do three. I don't know. It is a lot of matches to do, but typically it's two a day. And they will post the links for song A and for song B. And you are required to listen to song A and song B because we take this very seriously and we vote based on the match content itself. We want to have the votes based on the music. Don't care if, song B is from like your favorite game of all time. If it's not a better song than song A, you can't vote for it. Now, we have no way of policing that. It's an honor system thing. But that is the expectation that we go in, is that you'll be voting based on the music. We want to find the best music from video games, not the best music from the best video games. So the only real expectation here is that you have listened to both songs in the match. You do not have to vote in both matches if there's more than one going in a day. But for the matches that you do listen to, we expect that you've listened to both of them. That's really the only expectation that we place on you. You don't actually have to demand at the host that you want to know where the bracket is, but you do have to listen to both songs. And uh, if that's not for you, well, there's plenty of other things that we can do to participate. But uh, for the voting phase, we do need that. That's very, very important. Um, so we go through and we go all the way down round one, and then all the way through round two, and then three. And then when we get to round four, something very special happens. In terms of the way the matches run, nothing is actually going to be any different. It's going to be a match just like any other. But that fourth round is known as the retirement round. Any song that wins in round four gets labeled as retired. And that designation means that that song will not be able to return for any future contests. We have an incredibly long list of retired tracks by now because we have 14 years of this. There have been eight, six, or 16, or in some rare cases, 12 songs that have retired every single year. You multiply that by 14, and well, you can do the math on that. We have somewhere close to 200 of these. Those are songs that can't be nominated because they did really well. They are basically our Hall of Fame. And it is a mark of honor for a song to be retired. Whether or not the song actually goes the distance in the last few rounds and wins the whole contest, if it is retired, that is a very significant statement. And people who are voting are very determined to, well, maybe not determined is the right word, but they are very proud when a song that they supported or a song that they brought to the table or a song that they loved and voted for makes it through retirement. So if you want to consider any sort of victory, if you will, in this contest, retiring is definitely a benchmark and is one of the things that we look forward to. So you'll notice we have a long list of these songs. This is the retirement list that you're looking at right now. And that is a whole lot of stuff that we kind of just set aside and say, okay, not for next year, though. So retirement goes off, and then we finish the last few rounds and we crown our champion. Last year was Endeavor from one of the Fantasy Star Online spin off games. It beat out Isoleucine from 13 Sentinels. 13 Sentinels was a beast last year. It had two songs in the final four. Um, that's very rare that something like that happens, but um, that was how our bracket went last year. This coming year, I expect that unlike last year where we had 192 and I tried as host to do this weird thing with kind of giving some of these songs an extra chance to get back in a second life of sorts if they lost in the first two rounds. We're not going to be doing anything fancy, anything weird. It's just going to be a straight bracket, just like you would see in March Madness, except with two extra rounds. Um, so the question then becomes, how do the songs get into the bracket? So now let's discuss nominations because this is, according to some people, the most fun part of the contest, and I tend to agree. It is one of the most involved and also arguably one of the most complicated parts of the contest. So the deal is that you are going to get 30 nominations, and five of those you can double vote for. If you nominate or slash support a song that somebody else has nominated or supported, well, now it's got two votes. If you throw a double onto it, well, now it's got three votes. The songs with the most get in. It's basically that simple. So we're going to leave nominations open for a good long period for people to listen, for them to bail on the songs that nobody else supported to free up their nominations to support something else. It lasts for a pretty long period, and I'll talk about the flow of that in just a second. But you will have the opportunity to support 30 different songs. There are some slight restrictions on that. They do generally have to be from different games. I think you can pick up to two from the same game and up to five from the same series. Now, Micro and Dio might be changing that slightly. The other requirements are that it has to be a song that is originating from or associated with a video game, and it can't be on the retired list. And so, as long as the song you are nominating meets those criteria, it's probably eligible. Some exceptions apply, perhaps, depending on particulars, but generally speaking, that's how it's going to go. So, when nominations open on Thursday the 15th, people are going to flood in with a whole bunch of songs that they're going to go, hey, listen to me. And hopefully, you will try to listen to some of those and pick out ones you like. Or if you don't have time and you just recognize a few that you know and love, you can support those, throw them a vote, toss them a double, even if you really love them. Um, and that'll go on for 2 weeks. We will have 2 weeks for you to listen and to make your decisions. So you have plenty of time. Don't feel like you have to rush. The only rush, as it were, is that songs that get in the first wave on day one tend to get a little more exposure. So people make a big deal out of day one nominations. As a result, we do set a limit that you can't put more than 5 songs on day one. That's just to give everybody a chance to get their favorite songs, the songs they want to promote this year, songs that they really want to push and expose, a chance to be seen. But after that, once the first 24-hour period is over, it's open season and people go nuts. Uh, just a word of caution, you may hear the word support and nominate used in different contexts. They really mean the same thing. There's just 30 votes. Sometimes people will use the word nominate to mean they were the first person to roll out a song, and support to mean somebody else has already nominated this, but I'm going to me to it. So if you are seconding something, sometimes people refer to that as supporting, but supports and nominations are really the same thing. You get 30 votes altogether. And then out of those 35, you can additionally toss an extra vote onto for basically a total of 35. You are welcome to discuss, to collaborate, to try to get support for your songs through whatever reasonable means. You cannot be annoying about it. You cannot do vote trading where you specifically say, I'll vote for this if you vote for that. But you can definitely do what you feel you are able to reasonably do to drum up support. That is generally considered okay. In fact, we've been doing a ton of that for the last 2 or 3 months now, even to kind of give exposure to the new songs that everybody's excited to include. When you go to support, there is a very specific format that we use, and that's because we count the votes, the supports and nominations and everything else using an automated script. The script requires you to write in a very specific way. You'll see that when the contest goes live. I'm not going to get into the particulars of that right now, but it is pretty straightforward. Just kind of monkey see, monkey do what other people are doing, and make sure you're using the exact same syntax, and you should be fine. Um, I did mention doubles. You do have the opportunity to throw doubles onto 5 of your favorites among your 30. One thing that is special, though, that I do want to talk about is locking. This is a new thing that new policy we instituted last year, and it was very, very popular. So we're probably going to stick with it. One of the things that happens during nominations is that a massive, massive consolidation of votes takes place. During the first, like 50% of nominations, people just toss out ideas for, hey, I'd like to see this in the contest. And maybe one other person jumps on and goes, hey, me too. But once you get to a certain point, you start to go, I don't think anybody's going to support this. And so some people decide, you know what, I don't want to, die on this hill. I'm just going to unsupport this and get that vote back. And in doing so, they reclaim that vote to be able to put onto a new song. The problem with this is that the rising tide of votes, after maybe week one, we're saying the top 256 songs get in. Well, maybe after week one, you only need to get 2 votes to be in that top 256 for a given song. But as people start to pull their votes out and start to throw them onto other things, now maybe suddenly you need 3 votes. And then during the last 48 hours, people start to go a little crazier with this. And then suddenly you need 4 votes. And then in the last few hours, it jumps up to 5 votes. And we would see this contest after contest. And some people found this really exciting and frenetic, and all kinds of ridiculous shenanigans would go on. But some people found this really frustrating because they would go, oh, my song had 4 supports. I thought it was safe. Like all, all the threes were getting in and some of the twos even. And I had 4. And then I come back after the whole thing's over and my song got cut because it only had 4 and everything else required 5. And so some people really like that. Sorry for the lawnmower in the background. I can't control my neighbor. And so some people really liked the excitement and the thrill of the end, but some people got really frustrated by this. So we created this locking mechanism. What this means is that for the first week of nominations, if any song gets to the threshold, which last year was 5, but this year is going to be 6, If they get to 6 songs or 6 votes, any song gets to 6 votes, it's just automatically in. If you do it in the first 7 days, it is locked. And so locked songs are guaranteed a place in the bracket regardless of what craziness happens later on. Last year, for reference, about 2/3 of the bracket was represented by locked songs. People really liked this and they really pushed for it. So there were a lot of songs that got locked. If a song is locked, you can't retract your vote later. But the nice thing is you don't have to worry about, oh God, what's the cutoff point for the songs that are getting in? Because I'm going to flip over to a sheet. Whoops, that's not the thing I want there. Okay, so this sheet right here is part of our nomination counting spreadsheet that we used last year. And what you can see is that songs that had 4 votes last year, they got cut because by that point there were a total of 204 songs. Songs that there were actually 201 songs that got 5 votes, and there were then 14 more that had 4 after that. And you'll notice that the numbers at the bottom of this list are very, very small compared to the numbers in the 5 range. And that is exactly what I was getting at about how people pull out their votes. So maybe you're supporting some song that's down here and you go, oh, it's not going to get in. I need like 3 more people to support. So you pull your vote out and you throw it onto something in the 4 vote range that you like. And now it's at 5 and it's getting in. But that comes at the expense of some other song. So people just sort of push and push and consolidate and consolidate. And so the ending, I don't want to understate this. The ending, the last 24 hours, and especially the last like 3 hours, are absolutely bonkers. So if you want to see some craziness, tune in for the very end of nominations. If you don't want to see some craziness, get your songs locked in the first week if you can. So this is definitely a thing that happens, and I definitely want to kind of warn you about it ahead of time. You'll hear people talking about it, but I want to be the first to give you a heads up that this is one of the dynamics that I do want you to be aware of. I'm not going to burden you with a ton of things about how the contest goes right now because this video is already going to be long enough as it is, but I do want to at least warn you that things start off very, very quiet with people listening to nominations, kind of figuring out what they want to support, kind of wheeling and dealing a little bit, not literally wheeling and dealing, but you get the idea. Kind of going, okay, so here are the things I'm thinking about. And it goes kind of slowly during the first 70% of the nominations phase. And then all of a sudden, the activity gets super frenetic at the end. So be aware of that. I don't want you to be caught off guard. And a couple other general tips I would recommend if you have songs that you really love, try to get them out there on day one. Just as a single vote, you don't need to double them. Doubling is something that you should kind of hold off on until you feel that you really need to. Doubles are kind of, your trump card to throw in and say, oh, I want to really emphasize this song. And while some people do that as kind of a statement, early on and they go, yep, I'm just going to throw a double onto these to say this is how much I like it. Um, I would strongly recommend you hold the doubles, especially because a song that has 5 votes from 3 people is considered to have lower priority than a song that has 5 votes from 5 people. So if it came down to tiebreakers, we would take all the 5 from 5s before we took the 5 from 4s, and we'd take those before we took the 5 from 3 people. So the songs that had 3 people doubling, well, 2 of them doubling and 1 single to make that 5 votes, you'll notice that some of these people, some of these songs were going to get cut because this year was a 192 song bracket. And there were 201 songs that reached that threshold. So 9 of the songs that were in that 5/3 category did not make it in. I don't know if the hosts are going to do it this year, but within a single category like this, tie breaking is usually done by random selection. So we'll see if that ends up playing out this year, but that's not something we need to worry about right now. So I would get your first 5 votes in early and then start listening. Find things that you like, find things that you've never heard before, find things that are exciting. The discovery phase of the nominations is the highlight for a lot of the participants. They get to learn all these new songs, and the fact that there's going to be a contest where you vote for them afterwards, that's just gravy. That's, some people don't even stick around for that part. They just hang out for nominations and they're done. They love the nominations phase. So, yes, absolutely get in on the nominations early on day one for the things you love, and then start gradually supporting the things that you go, yes, I'm absolutely in on that. Uh, Measure yourself out a little bit. Don't go crazy on day two, and then be prepared for the big push at the end. So, those are my general guidelines for how to approach nominations and your strategy. And of course, save your doubles for when they're going to count. All right. So, in summary, the contest will be starting on Thursday night of April the 15th at 10 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to get in on those opening minutes, that's the time to do it. So after you've, mailed off your taxes, assuming you're in the US, and you are looking for something new to do because you've got your taxes all done and they're all taken care of and everything, then you want to just go ahead and pop over to board 8 and look for the thread at 10:01 and be ready to go with those 5 songs. Um, for contrast, what you're going to probably do if you had a song, you're going to be like plus Super Mario Brothers, and then you're going to use the pipe, which is that weird up and down line thing that's on like a key way out to the side of your keyboard, either on the left or right ends, and then the name of the song, and then another pipe, and then the link. So you get some sort of YouTube link after that for the song. And if you're supporting something, please copy and paste whatever the previous person used. Do your best to get the spelling and everything right, because otherwise the hosts have to go in manually and change a whole bunch of stuff. But that's basically what's going to happen. And it's going to be great and it's going to be glorious. And at the end of the 2 weeks, then we will move into the bracket phase. You will be chanting, where bracket, we want bracket, when bracket, bracket when. Dio and Micro will get the bracket out to us, hopefully pretty quickly, and then the contest will begin. And by the end of it, we will have a new champion. I hope that this was informative. I hope that I covered all the bases, all the things that you needed to see and hear about. It's a fantastic community. We would love to have you as a part of it. Please do not be anxious. Do not be worried that you're not going to fit in. Don't be worried that your tastes might be different. Um, there are a lot of people with a lot of different viewpoints, and you are pretty much guaranteed to find someone who likes some of the same things that you do. And so as long as you are not a jerk, and honestly, we'll even take in the jerks as long as they're not too jerky about it. Um, we want to have you, and we would love to have everybody who is willing to participate to encourage the variety, to encourage the versatility, um, to just promote all kinds of diversity within the contest. So we look forward to seeing you there, and good luck.